are going to jump into our first our case study, and that is with Nate Newsom. Nate is out of the North Texas area. Nate, are you out there? Go ahead and turn your camera on. There he is. All right, how you doing?
Good.
The bearded wonder, right?
Yeah, talk about COVID beard, right?
That's right, the COVID beard. I saw some pictures on Facebook. It was like really long. So tell us about yourself, okay? A little bit about what you're doing, your family. Introduce us.
Yeah, so again, my name's Nate Newsom. I live right here in McKinney, Texas right now. I actually moved down from Ohio about a year and a half ago. My family, you can see down there, my wife, we've been married for 15 years coming up in August. We have 5 kids together. My oldest is 15, Brock. Then Zoe's 13, Trig's 9, Archer's 5. I'm sorry, 7, Sadie's 5. So it's kind of hard to remember all their ages when you got that many, but that's how it goes sometimes. Yeah, so currently I'm in sales right now, but kind of like Dave, way back out of high school, actually just decided to go right to work. So I have no high school no college education. Went right out of high school into the steel industry. Got laid off in 2009 when the crash happened, and then I decided to go in business with my father-in-law. So we went in business for a lot of years together, about 9 years. I bought him out eventually a few years in, and I was working a ton of hours, like Dave mentioned, same thing. Business owner, we're putting in 60, 70, 80 hours a week, nights, weekends, whatever it takes. And we decided the kids were growing up fast, and I was missing sporting events, and you know, I didn't want to miss that much family time. So decided to get rid of the business. Took on the role, not the role I have now, but with the company I'm with now, W-2 job, and working 9 to 5 basically, weekends off, which is good for the time, but the income is not there. So I joined Lifestyles because I want the time and the income.
All right, very good. Well, tell us about how you found Lifestyles Unlimited.
Yeah, so I had a buddy, another Nate actually, that was a member, and he had a couple houses, and we were just kind of talking about my past and what I want to do in the future. And real estate's always something I wanted to be in since like high school, when I had seen some of my friends' parents doing very well. And we started talking about it, and it sounded like a good idea. So he talked me into going to the 2-day seminar, and I joined that weekend.
All right. And it looks like you've got some money you wanted to put it to work for you too, right?
Yeah, so when I got rid of the business, had a little bit of capital in the bank. I put it in a Marcus account, which makes, at that time, I think it was making like 2.5%, which was really good, right, for a savings account. Yeah. I think it's at like 0.6% now. So, yeah, wanted to make more than what the bank was offering.
0.6, 2% down to 0.6. Let's see how you're doing now, right? So this is your first acquisition, Shenandoah Court. Tell us a little bit about the house. How long after you joined did you make that acquisition? Who helped you do it?
Sure. So bought this house in May 2020. I actually joined in February. Okay. It took a little bit of time because I was actually.
Hold on, I have a real quick question, because wasn't May like COVID time?
Yeah.
Well, the world's upside down. Why on earth are you buying real estate during COVID?
Well, the banks aren't going to do any better.
So I know people out there like, that's insane, but I'm doing a scale over people's fears. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, this guy has not missed a payment. Like you talked about, getting the right people in, doing the background checks. He hasn't missed a payment, so everything's good.
So you weren't scared during COVID because you knew the model works, right? That's what I want to get the new people listening for the first time.
Right.
Cool. Because I get this week and they're like, but what about during after they see your case study? I'll go, who remembers Nathan from Thursday night? And you know, people, it's kind of hard now because it's virtual high fives, but you know, it's a little weird. But I just want to bring it up. I want to make sure that people that are coming this weekend are seeing you. Here's a real example. In the middle of COVID, he's buying the deal that you're seeing tonight. That's all I want to cover. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in, Chris.
Totally fine.
You're always welcome to jump in on us. I mean, Nate and I talked quite a bit, and during this acquisition, and none of it was fear about COVID. Everything was about the deal.
Yep, the numbers work and you get the right person in there, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so tell us, how'd you find it? Oh, back up the screen there.
Yeah, so I found that one from Lifestyles Realtor Blast, the email blast. And I went and I had to go see it that day. It was a deal where it comes out, you say you like it, and then you go, it might have been a day or two later where I did the walkthrough. But they invite multiple people there. So there was about 8 people walking through the house. 2 people wanted the house. So usually they would like draw straws or something if there was more than 2 people, but we flipped a coin and I won the coin toss. So I bought the house.
Literal coin toss, right? Okay. We had to do some additional negotiating on it, right?
Yeah, so they were supposed to, there was people in it. It was their house. They're supposed to be out by closing, but they had so much stuff in there that they needed an extra week. So we went back, we negotiated some money for rent, about $600, and then we negotiated about $5,000 would stay in holding in escrow just in case they didn't get out, and it cost additional money to get them out. I actually ended up having to get into the escrow account, I think by about $700 to just kind of help clear out some of the stuff they left.
Yeah, I remember that. You
So-
sent me a text and said, hey, they left a fridge and tires and stuff in the backyard. What do I do? And I said, well, that's why you've got that escrowed money. So hire someone, deduct it dollar for dollar, send them what's left. Right?
And all this stuff, you know, I wouldn't have known without having Lifestyles and having a mentor to be able to talk through this kind of stuff. I wouldn't have known to put money in the escrow account.
Yep, we got your $5,000, huh?
Yep.
Totally worth it. All right, so that was your first one. Let's move on to your second one. That's the one we're really going to showcase and show off the numbers now. So let's move forward. It's kind of ugly, and it's a bigger rehab, right?
Yeah. This is we're gonna completely redo everything. So first of all, I found this on the MLS.
Everybody hear that? MLS deal. This is an MLS listing straight off the MLS. Sorry,
They're available. You just gotta look. I mean, I looked
Just
for
so you know,
probably-
that's why actually doing the seminar. I go find an MLS listing and show them that. So here's one of Nathan learned how to find on MLS, and he actually went and did it. So here's an example.
Yep.
And
I mean,
this is not an old deal either. When did you close?
a couple weeks ago.
It was in January, right?
Yeah, it was the beginning of January. I think it was the 4th actually.
Okay, January 4th. So that's 16 days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're out there. I mean, you just got to be on it and you got to be fast, right?
Okay.
Because they're going to go fast if they're a good deal. So I found this on the MLS, went and toured it. It was a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and it has a 2-car garage. In order to get the value that I needed, I know I needed to turn it into a 3-2. So when I toured it, I was kind of on the fence of where I could fit that 3rd bedroom, and I didn't actually make an offer that day. But after I got all that squared away, again, talking with Chris through this whole process, decided that it would work. So we made an offer. I started at, they were asking 55. I offered 45, and we settled on 49.5.
Okay. So let's take a look at the numbers here. There we go. Appraised value. You actually had your hard money lender send in an appraiser. You showed them their scope of work, what you're going to do to it. And even though you purchased it for 49.5, they came back with a really big number, right?
Right.
Now, you and I talked pretty extensively over that number, and we settled on, do you remember what number we settled on based on the analysis
For
for the ARV?
140.
140. And what did the appraisal come back at?
140.
At a 140.
Right on the money for this
Right.
one.
It's a numbers game, okay? I mean, to everybody out there, it's just a numbers game. All you have to do is look at like and kind property, fixed up the way you're going to fix it up, and things work. They work. All right, so you got $140,000 appraisal, 49.5 in purchase. You got $49,000 for the rehab. and you got about $15,000 in closing costs. That's both sides of the closing, so it's hard money, and then we transition into a conventional loan. Tell us about the returns. I mean, you went from making 2%, possibly 0.6%. Just the equity capture, the return on capital gain here is a little bit higher, right?
Yeah. So my goal is to find something I can double my money on for every year, hold for a year, sell for a year. So this one worked out. Actually, it's going to come in higher than what I'm looking for, which is always better, right?
Right.
So we're looking at 24,600 in capital gains. And it's going to be probably around 14,000 is what we're figuring complete out of pocket.
So that's 174% just on the capital gains. That's only one of 5 ways that we make money. Nate,
Yes.
you're already ruined. I mean, look at the excitement. He's exuding with excitement.
Wait, Nathan, I got to see if you remember something from my seminar. If you can make over 100% return, there's a technical term in the industry. You know what it is?
Yeah, peeing your pants excited.
There we go. That's what I should remember. Because that is, I mean, that's why I said in my speech, our goal is to make 100%. You did that, so good job. That's how excited Nathan gets. You know, it's better than this 2%, which inflation's 3 or 4, so much better.
Right, better than in the bank.
All right, so your rent's going to be $11.95 a month. So it's going to bring in $14,000 a year. It's going to cash flow to your pocket $423 a month, or a little over $5,000 a year. And that's the second way we make money, which is a 35.7% return. I mean, that's nothing to spit at, right?
Yeah, I'm real happy.
I'm upset. Do you know why I'm upset, Nathan? Because in my speech, I said in today's market, we make between 8 and 30%, and you made it 35%.
Even better.
Could
But
you
he's
not
still
have,
between the 2 and 700.
I guess I should have looked at the returns before I said what I said. I just said up to a 35.7% return.
We try to break the mold, Dave. You set that bar high. All right, let's go on to the next slide here. We can take a look at your portfolio, what it's bringing in for you and your family. You got the 2 properties working for you now, almost $11,000 in cash flow annually, and you've picked up $42,000, over $42,000 in equity. What's that change for you and your family?
Well, it creates a plan, to eventually be in real estate full time like I want. I'm going to right now just continue to live off my W-2 and just keep rolling this so we can make it happen fast. I will add with this, Chris, that remember we ran another Quest report on the Shenandoah today, and that equity is going to be a lot higher than that. So this equity is based off of an appraised value of 205,000, and the Quest report we're looking at probably closer to 235,000. So that's going to add another 30 grand equity on that one. And that's how the Dallas market is. I mean, it's hot. Just going up.
So anyone that's out there and is concerned about Dallas because the cost out of pocket is a little bit higher, I mean, you just heard it from Nate. He bought a house last May, and we're looking at almost a $30,000 jump in value from the refinanced value, not from the purchase price, not from the hard money. It's after that. So, I mean, you bought in a great part of town. You bought workforce housing. You did everything right, and you're getting all the benefits from it. All right, let's go to the next one here. We've got some, next slide, please. There we go. All right, your team. So tell us about your team. Any shout outs you want to give to anybody?
Yeah, so obviously, Chris was my mentor. We've already mentioned that a lot. Chris has been great. Every time I call or email, I get an answer back, and he's been there to hold my hand the whole time, I guess you could say, because we're all learning. I'm learning. Capital Concepts is who I've done my hard money and my refi through. Those guys are super fast. If you need to close on a house fast, you can count on them. Finishing Touches, if you've been on a case study before for North Texas, you probably hear their name because they do a ton of them. One great thing about these guys is, like, I did not have to babysit at all. I've dealt with a lot of contractors, owning my own business and just doing some other rehabs for other things. And I mean, I've had to fire quite a few, and you don't have to worry about that with Blake. They'll stay on track, stay on time, and they were on budget. So
Yeah.
lead Siegel with integrity, very responsive, very quick to get back with you. A lot of times these deals are closing fast. Maybe within 10 days. So you need people that are going to get back with you right away. And Lee's been there for me. OmniKey Realty, property management company. So these properties I actually manage myself, but what I use them for, they do manage properties in whole, but what I use them for is to just lease the property up. So I didn't want to have to do the background checks. I didn't want to have to do the walkthroughs of the houses, right? The tours. I didn't want to have to do any of that. So they did everything for me. They just presented the information to me, and then I got to make the decision on whether they were a good fit or not. The other guy, Rudy, you get inspections on everything is what Lifestyle preaches. And the reason for that, really, even on these old crappy houses, you want to know that everything's fixed that they could possibly find. So that way, when you go to sell it, there's not going to be anything that maybe you miss. So another thing, he's on the spot. Very nice, outstanding guy. Appreciate everything he did for me.
Awesome. Okay, so let's see what's next for you. Here we go. Okay, so we've got what's coming up next for you, and then the next one after that's your goals. So just talk us right through. In fact, you're go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, we really got a good roadmap to retirement now. Like I had mentioned, we wanted both the lifestyle, right? We wanted to be able to do things we want financially, and I don't want to have to work I don't want to have to work till I'm 50. So definitely don't want to work till I'm 60 when I can collect some sort of Social Security or something. So we've got that in motion. We want more monthly income right off the bat, which both houses are cash flowing pretty good, or going to be when I get the other rehab done. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, perfect. And let's take a look here at your goals.
So short term, this year I want to buy 4 more houses, which will put me at 5 for 2021. With these houses, I want to hold for a year. Again, I want to double my money on every one of them. I want to hold for a year, sell, and then for each house, I want to buy at least 2 more houses. Long term, retire or have at least enough income that I could retire if I want in the next 5 years or sooner.
Awesome. Cool. Well, let's see if we got any questions out there. Who's doing questions tonight?
There's Danielle.
Yes, and we got some good questions. First, I was going to say, David, I sent you a text message. Some folks were saying your camera is awfully dark, and so I wanted to know if you could move your ring light.
Okay, this is not the one I use for the weekend, but I will put a light on just for them.
They want to see your lovely face.
Okay. I'll go get the ring light and put it around there. Maybe they can ask me a question.
Yeah, they can ask you. Let me ask you a question.
I'll do that.
Okay, the first question that I have is from Howard, and Howard said, how do you get the ARV before and after, or before buying and then after?
So before I use Quest, that's something I get through Lifestyles, and it takes all the different houses that have sold through the MLS and other means, I believe. And then you can pick out and kind of wean out the ones that don't fit in your mold of what you're going to rehab it to. And then after they come out and they do an appraisal. When you do a hard money loan, you'll have an appraiser come out then. And then when you refi into a conventional, they're going to send out another appraiser, which actually on my first house, my hard money loan came in lower than my conventional loan. So it worked out good because it was worth more than what I thought it was going to be worth. Did I explain that good?
So in simple English, guys, he sits there and has this specialized lender. I'll teach you about this this week. I called Harmony Lender. So it's a piece of garbage. Look at the house. You saw the picture. It's ugly, right? That appraiser comes out there and says, if you do all this work, it's going to be worth the same as these other houses in the neighborhood. That's in simple English what they did. And then the second appraiser came out after everything was fixed up and beautiful. They said, oh, it's worth even more than you thought it was worth. That's the storybook version. Great question.
I like that.
Yeah.
I had two different people both ask the same question. How long did it take you to make your repairs or to do your rehab?
Let's do
So
Shenandoah first.
Shenandoah.
Yeah.
Shenandoah, I believe, was 12 weeks, maybe 14 tops. And
That was a
that
big, huge rehab.
after I got the rehab done and I put it on the market, I leased it out within a week. Like, it was super fast. So we had somebody in there really quick.
And just so people know, I know that's one of their fears. Something I teach in the seminar is best product, best price. And I know Nathan followed that. We're not slumlords. He fixed everything, made it beautiful. If you have the most beautiful house and everything's new, every renter's going to want that. So I just want you to think of that in the back of your head.
And then I had two different people also ask a very similar question, asking about how we got to that 174% return. So I don't know, that's probably a question maybe more for David or Chris. Can you explain how we calculate that return?
Chris, can you
Yeah,
go
it's the
for
equity
it?
cap.
Simple English.
Hey, it's the equity capture divided by the cash out of pocket.
Yeah, guys, it's you got to realize the repairs, all that's in the loan. Okay, so if the house is worth 180, I'm just giving you round numbers, and he's all in at 120, 180 minus 20, 60,000 equity. So whatever you had to bring the closing, well, that was that. You divide that into that number. That's how they come up with the return after everything, paying off the loan, paying off everything. That's what the equity is.
Okay, perfect. And then Scott asked, Nathan, at what level did you join Lifestyles, and how did you come up with your cash to buy your first property?
I joined as a preferred investor, and I had cash from my business that I had sold.
Annie asked, how much did OmniKey charge to help you lease out your property?
Yeah, do you know what their fees are, what the percentage is?
I think it was 75% of 1 month's rent.
Okay.
That sound right, Chris?
What do they charge to manage it? Like 7% a month or of your rent? Do you know what it is?
Well, I manage everything on my own right now. Maybe once I get big enough.
Well, Nathan, he basically said, you just find me a renter and I'll run it afterwards. That's what he did in his case. Okay.
Yeah, because with Lifestyle's model where you fix everything, you don't leave anything to go wrong. So my theory is, I'm not going to get very many calls. And on my Shenandoah, I've had that rented out for, I don't know, 6 or 7 months. I got one call, the breaker tripped and he couldn't figure it out, and that was it. So
there you go. You followed them all. Good job.
John asked, is there an age or style of home which Lifestyles mentors or realtors would recommend having sewer lines scoped, incoming water line pressure tested, instead of just the usual inspection? Is there like a certain age of property that you recommend to do those on, or do we do it on all?
Well, Chris, you take it because you're the mentor. Otherwise, I'll get my version.
So when we're looking at sewer lines, so sewer lines will typically crack if there's foundation issues or completely break or need to be replaced. If you're looking at older homes, 1978 and older, more often than not, they're cast iron. You need to be thinking about replacing them. So at very minimum, scoping them. If they're newer and there's no foundation issues, it's kind of it's up to you. We encourage everyone to go through the full gamut of inspections. It's much better to spend $250 to $300 up front to actually have the water lines tested and the sewer lines scoped and get a $9,000 bill after the fact because you were too cheap to spend $300 to look at.
And that's a great answer. This is what it comes down to, guys. I always make fun of the T-Rex crew because they're too cheap to reach your pocket. That's what costs you more money in the end. I scope my lines on all my properties because why? If there's a break or belly, it's not just, oh, fix that. It's they have to tunnel under the building at $150 per square foot to get there. It could be $10,000 mistake. I'd rather pay 150 bucks and not pay 10,000 later. So don't be so cheap, guys. Do your due diligence. And you have a 7 to 10 day period to do all your inspections. There's plenty of time to do that.
So I think I'm going to ask about 2 more questions. Next question you have is from Michael, and he said, what happens if the market turns and your property doesn't appraise for like you planned, or even goes down in value?
Okay, let's do what ifs. What if a nuclear bomb hits you? What if, let's be realistic in the Texas market. It fluctuates 3 to 5%, okay? Even if his property went down in value, let's be unrealistic, and there's a zombie apocalypse, like you're saying, you're looking for way outs instead of ways in. Even if that happened and it appraised for $10,000 less, he wouldn't have like 15 or 20,000 equity to have 10,000 equity. He'd only have a 50% return. It's still better than your crappy 3% in your IRA. So, and think about it also. We make money 5 ways in real estate. These guys only cover 2 ways. What were the 2 ways? The equity capture and the cash flow. What are the other 3 ways, guys? They're going to have principal pay down. Every time that renter's in there paying rent, they're paying down the mortgage. Okay, that's called principal, and it will appreciate. So every year it'll go up a little bit. We call that icing on the cake. We don't even count on that. That's why it's not even in his numbers, which is what you're talking about. You have a 30-year loan. So even let's say we'll win the hell in a handbasket. No recession has lasted more than 2 years. I could get into Hayek versus Keynesian if you really want me to get into deep economics, but realistically, no recession lasted more than 2 years. So let's say we have to wait it out 3 years. He has a 30-year loan. Oh my gosh, he's only cash flowing $600 a month for the next 3 years until it comes back up in value. Oh wait, there's one more benefit, guys. The tax benefits. All that cash flow is tax-free the entire time. Come to my seminar, I'll teach you why. We're making money in 5 ways. So real estate is so forgiving. Even if one way doesn't work out, you just mentioned one way, the other 4 will more than make up for it. Stop looking for excuses not to do real estate. Trust me, it is the best thing out there. It is pee in your pants exciting when you make 100% return. And he made more than 100%. He made 100% plus 30% plus 5% plus 10% plus all these other ways. He didn't even mention his numbers. And we'll come back to Nathan's deal 2 years from now and go, ha-ha, because we'll end up being like 300% by then. Right, Nathan? See how excited I get?
So the last question I'm going to ask is from John, and he said, Nathan, do you plan on eventually moving to multifamily? I don't know if he's saying passive investing or he is asking if you're going to be a lead or an IRO. So whatever you want to take on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know when that will be yet, maybe 3 years or so. But my plan is to get enough homes where I can just sell them all and roll it all into an IRO, quit my job, and then I want to be a lead and start syndications. So.
Yeah, and I know that's like Chris, your mentor. When I met him, he was only doing single family. Now he's a lead and everything. I mean, he's like being your past excited guy too. So he did pretty awesome. Well, Nathan, thank you so much. Now I want to ask one last thing I want you to share with the crowd out there. There are new people tonight that never saw this before. They're not sure if this is real or not. What would your advice be to somebody brand new, hasn't even come to my seminar till this weekend? What advice would you give them coming into the seminar?
Don't be scared.
There you go.
Don't be scared, and you got to take risks or you're never going to get anywhere in life.
Awesome. I don't consider this risk. You know why I don't consider it risk? You know what's risky to me? Working a job for another 30 or 40 years for someone else to make them rich. Or you know what else is risk? Being in that stock market is total gambling. You're making money 5 ways, Nathan. Great job. Thank you so much for sharing with us today. I really appreciate it.